Timberwolves Thunder Game 1 tonight of the Western Conference Finals, 8:30 on ESPN in Oklahoma City. What do you think the big difference maker in this series is going to be on either side?
I think it's going to be Anthony Edwards. I think if you get the Anthony Edwards that showed up in the playoffs last year up until they faced the Dallas Mavericks, you'll be fine. If you get this current Anthony Edwards who, I don't want to say taking game, like I know, I'm not questioning that he's trying, Colin. Obviously, the effort is there.
He gets gassed. He got gassed last offseason. He got gassed this offseason. This postseason.
You can't have an 0 for 11 Anthony Edwards from 3. This isn't Steph Curry. Golden State. This isn't Golden State without their best player. This is the Oklahoma City Thunder that runs teams off of the court and won 68 games. They beat the Denver Nuggets. I know it went 7. They beat the Denver Nuggets by 40 points twice. Colin, I think the Nuggets are a better team than the Wolves. I think they were playing better than the Wolves. If the Wolves aren't careful, this is going to be a gentleman's sweep. I am very confident in the Thunder to win this series.
The one thing I'll say is the Wolves, I will guarantee, are going to get blown out once in this series. But I'd also bet that on the other side. I would say the Thunder are going to get beat pretty easy one game this series as well. Now, the difference maker in that series, I actually think will be the coaching. Okay. I think Chris Finch is a very good coach for Minnesota. I think he's very good with his rotations because I think Minnesota throws a lot at you, and they have a lot of guys who go on their own singular runs. Now, the big question with Oklahoma City that has been throughout the Denver series as well is if and when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does not necessarily play well, who do they turn to? They haven't necessarily had a stable second option, and that has been a major problem. Jalen Williams has been up and down. Chet Holmgren is a second option on his best day. And they got a smattering of role players that like to shoot a lot of threes and play great defense. The thing about that Oklahoma City does great is they're consistently excellent on defense. That's the one thing that will keep them in games. But I think offensively, there's a little bit more questions that are maybe let on, and I could see Finch exposing that to a degree. They got good perimeter defenders, and if they can nullify, they're gonna have McDaniels glued. Jaden McDaniels, that is, glued to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the entire game. And if they could figure out force him in his own little bubble, Gilgeous-Alexander, that is, and see what the rest of the Thunder offense can do, I think Minnesota might be a little dangerous in the series. I do think the Thunder are still going to win, but I think this will go 6 or 7. I think Minnesota's going to play well because I think Chris Finch is a better coach than Daigneault is. And I think they offer a little bit more offensively. And guys like Julius Randle, Naz Reid, they got more size, and it's going to be Hartenstein and Holmgren trying to deal with that. I know they just dealt with Jokic, but this is going to be a little different because they got multiple players that are going to throw stuff at you. I think that will be a big difference maker in this series. And as for Edwards, the thing about it is he hasn't played terrific consistently, and they've still been pretty good. They've still been pretty solid. So I don't know if you need, 35 on 75% shooting, but you're going to need a steady 25 to 30. You're going to need a steady 25 because Julius Randle's a great second option, and Gobert has his moments, and then they got a smattering of good vets all over the court. DiVincenzo, Conley, the whole thing. I think they match up pretty well. I really do. I'm sorry. I know Mike's been down on the T-Wolves, but the thing about the T-Wolves is they tend to play up to their opponents and down to their opponents. This is a situation where they're going to need to play up. They don't have home court here. They need to play spoiler. I think that almost suits the team a little bit better than playing the team that needs to defend their own court. That's why they got hurt in Game 1 against Golden State.
I think we learned that the Lakers weren't as good as advertised, at least that I thought. Golden State was without Steph. The reason I think that the Thunder are, I guess waltz is the wrong word, but dominate this series is because I don't think the Timberwolves have really played anybody of note either. I think the Thunder have had a tougher road with Denver comparatively. I think Denver,
but the T-Wolves have more postseason experience. They went to 7 with Denver last year.
Even Randall has postseason experience with the Knicks. I'm not trying to downplay. I think the caliber of player on the T-Wolves. I just think the Thunder are a different animal than the Warriors or the Lakers. And I think that the Nuggets, I want to give the credit where it's due for Denver. Without a head coach to battle with a team like Oklahoma City like that.
So is that not a negative towards Oklahoma City?
Maybe. Maybe, but I think the thing with Oklahoma City is that they beat a former champ. They beat the best player in the NBA, Jokic. I think that's the flowers right there. They overcame a team who has won a championship and has been together for a very long time. I think that's a lot to be said about a young Thunder.
Well, you could say the exact same thing about the T-Wolves last year, and then they went in and they got destroyed by the Dallas. So this might be literally the situation flipped.
Flip.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, it's like they get a joy. They get a second gear when they have to play somebody and knock off a Titan, because Steph Curry is counted as that. LeBron is counted as that. The Denver Nuggets is counted as that. They get something out of it when they got to knock off a Titan. They're better as a spoiler than they are as the favored team in the series. And the Thunder are like 10-point favorites tonight.
There could be something there where Ant, he talked after those Golden State games. He likes playing in big moments. I'm not downplaying how great Anthony Edwards is. I want to see some consistency from that young man, and hopefully he comes in the series, because I'm like you, Colin. I don't have a dog in this fight. I want this game. I want this series to go 7. I want to see a game 7 that isn't a 40-point blowout. I want to see the best series possible. I just think Oklahoma City probably on a different level than Minnesota at this point. I hope I'm wrong, though. I do. I hope I'm wrong.